Hello friends, we have loads of books to talk about today. But before we get started, we're gonna make some cookies. I found these at the store yesterday and wanted to give them a try because they're all pre-made. We just have to throw them in the oven. So we're gonna do that, make some tea, and then talk books. So I hope you'll join me today. I can't wait to get into them with you. So a little bit of a different vantage point today. We don't have a fire going, so it doesn't look very pretty to sit in front of an empty fireplace. So we're over here today in a comfy seat. I've got the books all lined up in read, currently reading, and to be read. Cookies are in the oven. Tea is ready. I think we're ready to go. Last video, I said that I was going to talk about little changes, doing little things, making big changes in a gentle way. I'm not quite ready to go there yet. I'm making little changes that are impacting my day and my processes and all of the things, but I'm kind of in an observing mode right now, and yeah, so that will come. So I just thought it might be nice to catch up on books for a few minutes because I've been reading a ton. I've been writing a lot also and working a lot with words, other people's and my own. And I think one of the best ways that you can maintain a lifeline, stay grounded in writing, is to read. And it might seem like, I read all day. I read or write all day, it feels like. But in order to do that, I need to have a well of good words. And I love books. I love story. I love words, I love characters, and so some of these are fiction, some of these are nonfiction, but first and foremost, I feel like I am a book lover and a writer. Everything else kind of is a bonus or icing on the cake. So, books. What have I read recently? I've talked about this in many other videos. On the calculation of volume, Book 1, I have since read Book 2 and 3. They were library copies and they're already sent back to the library. This series is really fascinating, interesting, frustrating, all of the above. I do recommend it. I think the way that she tells a story is so interesting, and the choices that she made, there's no spoilers when I say that it's about a woman who wakes up on the same day over and over and over again. The series has been written over, I think, 20 years plus, something like that. And each book is a little bit different. There's currently only 3 available in the US. I think the 4th one is set to come out later this spring. It sounds like the 5th one is available elsewhere in the world, but I think the 6th and 7th books have yet to be written. I could be wrong, but I think that's the state of things. I need to know what happens, and I was talking with a friend about this. I want to know what happens, and also we read it as part of my book club, and we were talking about it over the weekend. I really want to know what happens. They're short books, so it's really funny to say if there were cliff notes, I would probably want to read the cliff notes on them. The 2nd book was my favorite so far. The 3rd, I just wanted to know what happened. It's hard to put into words what these books make you feel. They're unsettling, they're thought-provoking, they're cozy in a way because they're so atmospheric in places. If you've read 1, 2, 3, or any of them, let me know in the comments, with any of these books, what you thought. I think it's so fascinating to hear how books land for other people because it's not the same at all, and someone else and I were talking about how if you read a book at a certain time in life when certain things are happening, you might not like it, but you might pick it up again later, and it could hit in a completely different way. And I have a feeling these books are probably how they resonate probably depends greatly on where you are in life. So, yes, I recommend that one. Speaking of short books, a friend sent me this. It is 84 Charing Cross Road by Helen Hanff. I had never heard of it, but it seems like many folks have. It seems like this is a well-known and well-loved story. It is, this charming classic, first published in 1970, brings together 20 years of correspondence between Helen Hanff, a freelance writer living in New York City, and a used book dealer in London. It's, written as letters, or it's just the letters between them. And it was absolutely delightful to see the passage of time in such a way. Really, really lovely. And the differences in language and formalities and it was really, really lovely. I think I read it in a matter of, 2 evenings. And it was fun. I don't read a lot of books that are letter-based. I know there's a term for it, but I can't think of it. But I would like to read more. I know the correspondence that came out recently is all the rage. I have not read that, but I would like to because it feels intimate. Letters are intimate, and it's kind of fun to explore other people's letters. If you are a writer or an author, you might be interested in Sarah Painter. Years ago, she had a podcast called The Worried Writer Podcast. It was excellent, and so down to earth and so helpful. Oh, cookies. Hold on. Cookies need another minute, so really, really quick. Sarah Painter, The Worried Writer Podcast, she has some solo episodes, but also she interviews other writers, and it just helps to make you realize that we all have the same worries. We all have the same fears. We all battle with ourselves when it comes to sharing our stories, writing our stories, all of the unknowns. It's such a great podcast. I highly, highly recommend going back and listening. She hasn't put a new one out in quite a long time, but she's writing. She has books called Stop Worrying, Start Writing, Stop Worrying, Start Selling, and then she has her own fiction. I just finished her latest book in the Crow investigation series called The Crow Moon. I think it's the last one in the series. She says that it's probably the last one in the series. I think there's 10 books. They're all fun, kind of Jessica Jones meets London meets supernatural, more supernatural stuff. They're really fun. And I also read her Stop Worrying, Start Selling. So if you're a writer, cookies. We're gonna let those cool for a minute and then see. I picked these up, these pre-made cookie dough things or I saw them when I was at the store after dentist appointments yesterday. And I always like to pick up something sweet after a dentist appointment, especially if it's, all green flags at the appointment. It's nice to have a little treat. So, but they look kind of, I don't know how they're going to be. So we'll let those cool and then I'll grab one in a minute. So Stop Worrying, Start Selling. It's a couple years old, and so some of the information isn't completely up to date, but Sarah writes in such a way that all of the advice can be applicable to changing technology and changing things, changing algorithms and such. But it's very down-to-earth information, very helpful for those of us who do not have a marketing background, who are still putting things out into the world and maybe have no real idea where to start. Like, I've put 2 books out there. I haven't really marketed any of them except for sharing, on social media and such, in a very gentle way, because it's not my full-time job yet. And so it was good to read that and to have it in the back of my head, and I'll definitely reference it again. So if you're a writer, check out Sarah Painter's books, both fiction and nonfiction. I also finished reading Coming Home by Rosamund Pilcher, which I've shared about a handful of times because I was reading it for a long time because it was huge. I finished it over the weekend. Not my favorite of hers, but still enjoyable. I finished it. I think it was like 900 some odd pages. It just wasn't my favorite. I still love Winter Solstice and the Shell Seekers, but I think Coming Home has been my least favorite of hers. And I don't really know why. I think like I said, some books just hit differently. I'm having a really hard time with words today. With speaking. The words are not coming naturally. I've been writing a lot, and I'm realizing that when that happens, it feels like my words are elsewhere, and this might be a little bit harder. So take that for what it's worth. All of the words and all of the reading is all good, but sometimes I think it makes the speaking harder. Anyway, so yeah, Coming Home, not one of my favorites. I'm glad I read it, but I think it was very long, and it could have ended sooner. That's only my opinion. So those are my I've read books. Moving on to currently reading, I have 3. The first one is called Already Enough, A Path to Self-Acceptance, and it's by Lisa Oliveira. I have it on my Kindle, so I'll read you the book description. It says, identify, understand, and reframe your life story with this must-read. An essential guide for self-acceptance from Lisa Oliveira, a therapist, writer, and creator of a wildly popular Instagram account @_Lisa Oliveira. And it starts when Lisa was just a few hours old. Her birth mother abandoned her behind a rock near Muir Woods in Northern California. She was later found and adopted. And then it goes on. Her story plays into this idea of reframing the stories that you've told yourself for your entire life, kind of unpacking them, reframing, and stepping into new ones. So I'm just a little bit ways into it, but I love, and I saw this book from her Instagram account, and I love what she puts out into the world over there. And so I thought I would give her book a try. So far, so good. I'll keep you posted. Next up, I think I mentioned in the last video that Paige and I were going to go see Wuthering Heights in the movie theater last week. We did. And I really liked it. I had not read the book. I knew enough about the story to know that the movie was going to be wildly different. Adaptation is even a loose representation of what it was. But I loved it. And we came out of the movie theater wanting to know more. We talked about the movie for like the whole next 4 days, like here and there. We both were just so swept up in it, and the stories and the stories about it and the making of it, and represent like what things represented and just all of it. We stopped, and luckily there's a Books A Million right next to the movie theater that we go to, and we were able to pick up a copy of the book. I love this copy. It's the one of the Penguin hard copies. I just think it's so pretty. And I am 8 chapters in. So different. So different. But at the same time, I can see where they got ideas for certain things, how different things are represented. I'm intrigued. I've never read any of the Bronte sisters' works, never touched Jane Eyre. I have Jane Eyre, so I might read that one after this one. It's not super easy, fun reading, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I think I shared over on Instagram just how cool that these movies come out and they're bringing people to books. We're talking about books. We're talking about story. We're talking about female authors. We're talking, like, it's starting a conversation. The movie, the book, deeply unsettling, deeply uncomfortable, deeply disturbing. But that's what art does sometimes. It makes us think. It makes us sit with uncomfortable things to maybe look at humanity in a different way. It's, yeah. There were a lot of points in the movie where Paige and I looked over at each other and we were like, what the heck is happening? We were both like, whoa. But it wasn't a bad thing. So I'm reading this slowly and I'm really enjoying it. The last book in my reading pile is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. It's a gorgeous cover. And this book, I had a conversation with someone last week, I think it was, and they recommended this book. And as soon as they said it, I was like, I have been meaning to read this book forever, probably since it came out. And since then, whenever I've mentioned it to anyone who's read it, they're like, oh, it's such a good book. And it is. It's beautifully written. This book is about a woman who realizes the limitations of a bargain that she strikes about being able to live forever without being able to be remembered by anyone she sees. Addie chooses to flee her small village as everything she once held dear is torn away. but there are still dreams to be had and a life to live, and she is determined to find excitement and satisfaction in the wide, beckoning world, even if she will be doomed to be alone forever. It's beautiful. I'm just a little bit ways in, but it goes back and forth in perspectives from the present of 2014 to the very beginning of her story, which is in 1714 in France. I think it's so stunning to see these different ways people are talking about time. You know, we've got on the calculation of volume, this reminds me of, you know, The Time Traveler's Wife a little bit, just in that breathtaking writing. I thought that writing was really beautiful. So I'm enjoying this, and we'll look forward to reading other books of hers too. Yes, more tea. Okay, I'm gonna get a cookie. Okay, they didn't spread out a ton. They smell really good. Let's see. For a quick just throw in the oven thing that where you don't have to mix it up yourself, not bad. But the ones we make at home are much better. So, Paige, if you're watching this, any of your cookies are better than this. I'm still gonna eat them. So, I also feel a little bit, not quite like Medusa, but my hair's struggling these days. I blow dried it so much over the winter because I want it to be warm, but the curls need to come back. I feel like I look more myself with them, and I feel more myself with them, but now I need to give them some love and attention, and they kind of go through this meh phase after being blow dried for a long time. So I'm not gonna apologize. My hair looks a little wild today. I'm just acknowledging. What am I going to be reading? What am I looking forward to reading? I had heard about these two books forever, or as long as she's been writing books. And I enjoy her Instagram and how she shares about her writing day. So this is The Witching Moon Manor and the Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Savinsky. Both of these. They are library copies, and they're actually, one of them is due on the 12th and the other is due later, so I've got to get reading. But I wanted to read Addie LaRue first. Do you ever have that where you get really inspired to like put all of the books on your reading list into, like, request them all from the library, and you think they'll trickle in, but they all come at once? And then you want to read them all at the same time, but you can't. It's such a problem. Such a problem. But these, I'm interested in the magical realism element because that has something to do with the book that I'm writing at this time. So yeah, I wanted to give these a shot. Like I said, I enjoy her Instagram and how she shares about writing. So these will be up next. And then I'm looking over here. I have, you guys, so many books to read. Hold on. These are all books that I want to read soon. Not necessarily the Kurt Vonnegut books. Lucas got those for all of us to read at some point. Oh, and I think I actually read this one, or parts of it. But yeah, a lot of these are books that I want to read, or that I've just picked up and intend to read in the future. There's quite a few that I would like to get to soon, like Fawning by Dr. Ingrid Clayton, How to Kill a Witch, I think sounds really interesting. Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper. Yeah, there's so many. And then I've got other ones over there that I want to read. So many books. It's a terrible problem to have, just like the other one. But yeah, so I do have to get reading. But lastly, this book is for our Patreon book club. What I do over there is every 2 months there's a new book. So each book is for 2 months. We read it over the course of 2 months. We discuss it on the second month, and the first month we gather together and just have like a cozy bookish reading get together. And it's 2 months so that there's plenty of time for people to get their copies, to read at their own pace, even though I provide a suggested reading schedule. And it gives me a little bit of time in between books, because coming up with book questions and hosting a book discussion takes a little bit of energy. So for our next book choice, which is for March and April, it's Your Brain on Art: How the Arts Transform Us by Susan Magsamen and Ivy Ross. This is the cover. And this book shares the science to prove that the arts and aesthetic experiences are essential not only to our health and well-being, but our ability to thrive. So it felt like a good time for this book to remind us of how important the arts are, to remind us to support artists and writers and creators, to really focus on art. And I'm going to say on human-made art. So this is our book club. I would love it if you wanted to join us over there. You can come over and just get the questions. I'm going to be posting them once a week on the discussion board within Patreon, and then I'll collect them up together and share them in a post. My Patreon is a small little place where you can just come and support me and my endeavors, or you can come and take advantage of all the things. There's the book club, there's a Patreon exclusive video every month. There's, at a higher tier, you can come and hang out with me every Thursday morning and make some art. It's our writers and makers group. And yeah, it's a nice little space, but again, you can make it what you want. You can come and participate, or you can come and just support me in my work. I am grateful for you simply being here and supporting me by watching. That is always more than enough. But if you would like to go kind of above and beyond, you can head over there. All right, my friends, what are you reading? What have you read recently that you were like, oh, this is the most amazing book ever? Or just what was something that helped you to escape from reality for a little bit? Because that's one of the benefits of reading. Life's hard, life is challenging, and books can serve all sorts of different purposes, whether it's helping us to navigate hard situations, whether it's giving us a little bit of an escape, showing us how to romanticize our life a little bit, how to enjoy our life a little bit more, or whether it's just, a way for you to rest. I am here for all of the above and all of the amazing things that books and authors do for us. So until next time, happy reading, be well, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care, friends.